Hey everybody, this is teaching or evangelism teaching video number 12. So in this video, I want to talk about successful evangelism, specifically what constitutes successful evangelism. So I want to share a story. So a few years ago, I was in College Park, Maryland, and my friend and I had gone to a restaurant, and I was outside. You know, we had eaten, and I was outside. I was waiting for him. He was inside going to the bathroom. And so as I'm standing there, I look over and I notice a young African man standing a little ways down from me. And so I'm thinking, well, I've got nothing to do. He's got nothing to do. Let's go talk about Jesus. So I approach this man and I ask him, I say, hey, is there anything that I can pray for you for? And he says, no, thank you. And didn't even look at me. So I'm kind of standing there feeling kind of funny, because obviously this guy wants no part of me. And so then I said, hey, just want you to know that Jesus loves you, that Jesus really loves you. And he just kind of looked at me real quick and said, thank you, but turned his head and really was basically like, thank you, get away from me. Okay, that's the vibe that I got from this guy. So I, feeling really awkward, went back to my car. My friend, he had come out, and we were about to leave, and I was backing out and was about to pull out of the parking lot when my friend says, Kevin, he said, I think that guy might want you to stop. He said, I don't know what he's doing. I look in my mirror, and the guy's going like this. He's holding his arm up, and he's going like that. And so I'm like, all right, well, we'll see if he does. Maybe he wants to talk. And so I was halfway out of the parking lot. I just pulled out. I pulled into a parking lot next door. And sure enough, he comes running over. And so I get out of my car, and I'm like, what's up? And he says to me, why did you ask me if I needed prayer? And I said, I don't know. I just figured I'd ask if you needed prayer. And I said, why? I said, obviously you do. He said, no. He said, I don't need prayer. I need Jesus. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm like, all right. So I lead him, I share with him the gospel. I share the gospel with him. I, explain all of that to him, and then I lead this man to Jesus. So why do I tell that story? I tell that story because, I could have if that man had not come running over to me, or had we not seen him in the mirror, and we had just pulled out, it would have been very easy for me to drive away thinking, boy, what a failure that was. Or, boy, that guy treated me really bad. I'm never doing that again. And I would have had no idea that my simple words, hey, do you need prayer for anything? Or Jesus loves you. I would have had no idea that those very simple things that I said were completely like wrecking that guy's heart. They were tearing down the walls around his heart. I would have had no idea. Okay? So that's the point of the story. The point of this story and the point of this video is to show you that God can do so much with the little bit that we give. And really, when it comes down to it, the way I see it is that there is no such thing as failure when we step out to give Jesus away. And you might be thinking, well, Kevin, I don't know about that. I'm not so sure about that. I've had some pretty bad experiences, and I've had some people that have treated me pretty bad. And okay, I get that, I understand it, but I still do not believe that there are any failures in evangelism. Here's why I say that. So imagine you're planning to plant a garden. Okay, you get your seeds. You go out in your backyard, okay? You spot a place to have your garden, okay? You take those seeds and you just throw them in that place where you want to have the garden, right? Well, that's kind of crazy. You can't expect that anything is going to grow, okay? No. So what we do is we go out and we determine where we want to have our garden. Okay, we take our tools, okay, and we drive whatever tool we're using into the fallow soil, the hard soil. And what happens when we drive our tool into the soil? Well, the soil resists the tool. Okay? But we drive that tool into the soil again and again and again and again, and eventually that hard ground begins to soften up. It begins to break up. Okay? And then eventually the ground is so conditioned that when you put the soil in, the ground receives that seed, and then from there we begin to cultivate that seed by watering the seed and watering the seed, and the sun shining on the soil. Okay? And eventually, after so long, we see the blade, and then the blade begins to bear fruit, and we harvest that fruit. Well, the same is so with evangelism. Now, you may have had a really difficult experience in evangelism, but have you ever stopped to think that you may have been the first person to come along to drive the tool into the hard soil of that person's heart? That God may have used you to be the person to break up the fallow ground of the heart. And what you didn't see, what we don't see, are the people that God will send after us. Now you come and you say, hey, Jesus loves you. You say, hey, Jesus loves you. He died for you. And then they revolt against you. Shut up. Leave me alone. I don't want to hear it. I can't stand you Christians. And then somebody else comes after you. Hey, Jesus loves you. He died for you. Leave me alone already. And then somebody else comes. Hey, I just felt to tell you that Jesus loves you. He died on the cross for you. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. I've heard it. And then the next person, and then the next person. And each time, what's happening is the person is beginning to realize this is not just coincidence. And all of a sudden the words that are being spoken begin to penetrate that person's heart, until finally that person comes to them and shares the gospel, and that person, the soil of his heart has been prepared, the seed has been cultivated, and finally that person says, I need Jesus. And at that point, the harvest comes in. See, there can't be an end of the process without the beginning of a process. There can't be the end of a process if there's no beginning of the process. Now, you may be, so here's what I want to say. That even if you're rejected, it's still a success, because you may be the beginning of somebody's process. You may not have been the person to bring in the harvest, but you were successful in beginning that process that will eventually lead to that person coming to Jesus. What does it say? It's Paul said that I, Paul, plant and Apollos waters, but God brings the increase. See, we need to understand that God is at work, and that you may approach that person, but God will bring other people across that person's path. So I want you to, it's all a matter of perspective. It's all a matter of perspective. It's all a matter of when we do evangelism, we're either sowing, we're watering, and every now and then we get to bring in the harvest. And so we need to understand, and this is what's going to continue to motivate you, that every time you step out and you share Jesus with somebody, that you are absolutely successful. That you are absolutely successful. Now, what does that look like? Do we have to go out and give them a 5-point sermon? No. But it's just a matter of giving Jesus away any way that we can. I mean, we go to the grocery store, we pay for our food, And before we leave, we look at the cashier and we say, you know what? Jesus loves you so much. For all you know, that cashier could have been going through something horrible, and they may have been praying right before they came to work, God, do you even see me? Do you even love me? And then you walk up to them and you say, just want you to know, Jesus loves you. Or, hey, can I pray for you? Okay? I'll tell you what, I've seen countless people saved. I've seen miracles, signs, and wonders. I've seen God do incredible things. I've seen God reveal himself to people in amazing ways. But there's never been a time that hasn't happened, that the first thing that's happened was me simply saying, Jesus loves you. Or, hey, would you mind if I prayed for you? So here's what I'm going to say to you. This is what it all comes down to. Just say something. Make the effort to give Jesus away any way that you can. And sometimes that's going to be grandiose, and sometimes that's going to be, hey, Jesus loves you. Okay? I hope that this helps. God bless you guys. Love you guys. We'll see you on the next video.